Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps: Bob the Dragon, Crab Lobster, Datamagnet, DuckMachine, Mezec, Try Again 95, Feudic Jarl, Astraya the Dreamer, Casper Arnholtz, Maxwell, Ithilia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Buxbaum. Thank you very much. Ivan and the Impossible, written by DestroyatronMk8. We should kill them, Varian glared at the humans in the clearing. We should have killed them the moment they set foot on our lands. The general stood atop one of the taller trees in the forest. His leather armor dyed in greens and browns that blended with his perch. Ilstrad gave him a tolerant smile. You've been saying that for 2 days. The humans were far enough away to appear as ants to most races, but her superior Alban vision allowed her to see enough detail to track their efforts. Efforts she had been watching with interest. Do you truly expect my answer to change? No, my lady, Varian harumphed. It just galls me to see them. Never in our history have these woods felt the touch of lesser feet. Now here are a full score of humans treading with impunity. He made as if to spit, then thought better of it. Boss, we're paying them to do so. We are paying them, she reminded him, to slay a foe that we cannot. A foe that will destroy every inch of this forest and every elf within it. It's taken a third of our trees and half of our warriors already. If some god and the indignity of human feet is the price of our lives, it is a price I will pay gladly. Varian grunted. Do you really believe they can do as they claim? If not, Lestrade assured him, then they will die. By the dragon's hand, or by ours. Well said, my lady. Varian flashed a small smile before resuming his usual disapproving glower. I still think we should kill them. I know. Hush now. Lestrade pointed at the humans. I think they're about to start. The humans had piled a large amount of grass and wood near one edge of the clearing. At a word from the leader, they set it ablaze. Varian growled at the sight. Lestrade herself was not pleased to see such a fire in her forest, and even less pleased as the humans used spade and flame to carve an insulating phrase around the grass of the clearing. Lestrade considered herself quite worldly, but the language on display made her cheeks flush, and to carve such filth into the land itself. For the first time, Lestrade wondered if she should have heeded Varian's words. The humans donned largely heavy hooded cloaks. They performed what Lestrade assumed were last-minute checks on a large device on the north side of the clearing. The device looked like a crossbow, if a crossbow was the size of a wagon. Ivan, their leader, had called it a ballista. With all in readiness, the humans waited. They continued feeding the fire on the south side of the clearing. Lestrade noted the band were using fallen branches and deadfall to fuel the flames. They'd been careful to avoid harming any living trees. This was fortunate, as Lestrade would have been obliged to kill them if they had. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, in the distance she heard a cry of challenge. The humans heard it as well and scrambled for their positions. A second roar, louder, closer. All right, boys, their leader, a man named Ivan, called. It's showtime! A shadow fell across the clearing, accompanied by the thunder of wings. The dragon swooped low just over the treetops. As he passed, he let out a roar that shook the trees. He gained height, circling. Then he stopped, hovering in the air with the beat of massive wings. The words burned into the clearing had caught his eye. You dare! His voice cascaded through the clearing, so loud that Lestrade covered her ears. She was surprised that the humans, so much closer than she, had remained standing in the face of it. Most humans did, in fact, cover their ears, but not Ivan. He faced the dragon with a gleam in his eye. As the echo of the beast's mighty voice faded, Ivan uttered a stream of curses in his direction. He gesticulated wildly as he questioned the dragon's ancestry and suggested things that he could do with himself that defiled both propriety and probability. His gestures repeated themselves as he cursed. Hand signals, Lestrade realized. The mighty dragon stared at the human in shock. Lestrade supposed he had never been addressed in such a manner. As Ivan cursed, the humans around him started working cranks on the ballista. It turned to point at the creature. Ivan made a final gesture as he finished his curses. Twang! The spear shot from the ballista fast as any arrow. Its aim was true, straight towards the dragon's breast. But the dragon was faster. He twisted in midair with a impetuous snort and winged away. Fools! He thundered. Reload! Shouted Ivan. 2 other humans worked cranks on the machine, while the third placed another spear. Ivan made 2 more hand gestures as he watched the dragon. He's coming back around! Cover! 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 Ivan and the other humans dove to the ground, clutching their cloaks around themselves. A moment later, the dragon glided overhead, fire spewing from its great maw. His flame engulfed the humans and the machine. Twang! The spear shot out from the trees in the east of the clearing. It struck one mighty wing, and the beast tumbled from the air with a yell of surprise. He bounced and crashed through the clearing, sending the fire in all directions until he smashed into the trees, knocking several down. They did it, Marion whispered in disbelief. They knocked him out of the sky. Lestrade did not reply. She dared not give voice to the desperate hope welling within her, the same hope that she heard in Varian as he breathed. This might actually work. Instead, she watched. She watched Ivan jump to his feet, his heavy cloak wreathed in flame. He threw it off, yelling, Cast off! Cast off! Cast off! He ran to the ballista, seemingly oblivious to the fact that he was burning, as was much of the ground around him. The other humans rose as well, shedding cloaks of fire. Twang! A spear shot from the trees west of the clearing. It struck the dragon's flank, piercing the red scales of its hide. The beast roared as it climbed to its feet. A third spear shot from the trees to the south, sinking into a hind leg. The dragon plucked the spear out of his leg with a frustrated growl, his head whipping around, spraying fire at the nearest machine and the men who manned it. Ivan and his men frantically worked the cranks of their burning ballista, bringing the spear to bear. The dragon plucked the remaining spears out of his body with quick, irritated motions. His eyes focused on Ivan. Twang! Ivan's ballista was still functioning, on fire though it was. The dragon ducked his head out of the way, and the spear struck his shoulder. Not bothering to pluck it, he surged forward with a roar. Lestrade's heart dropped. It's not enough, she whispered. Their weapons are no more than a thorn in his paw. Go, go, go! Ivan ran from the machine, racing for the trees. His men followed. The dragon reached the ballista with a frightening speed, sending shattered pieces of it across the clearing with a single swipe of its claws. He turned to pour fire on Ivan and his men. Twang! A spear from the west passed in front of the beast, narrowly missing its snout. He turned to face it, paused, and then streaked to the south. Lestrade heard the cries of men as they abandoned their machine. The dragon rained fire on them as it smashed their ballista. Ivan reached the edge of the clearing and stopped. The dragon moved swiftly through the trees. It crushed the west ballista as it had done the others. The last working weapon fired, but the dragon easily dodged the spear. Ivan drew his sword. He screamed an obscenity-laden challenge at the beast and charged for the center of the clearing, his men moving to follow him, but he waved them back. The dragon ignored him. The dragon smashed the last ballista. He cast his gaze through the forest, looking for more of these weapons. Satisfied there were none, the great beast sauntered back into the clearing. Ivan stood at center, sword in hand. Human! The dragon said, You have surprised me. You have caused me pain. I'll cause more than that in a minute, Ivan spat. He raised his sword. Come on, then! The dragon chuckled, a sinister, rumbling sound. No, little human, not yet. First I'll kill your men, then the foolish elves hiding in the trees. Then I will give you pain. I will, He trailed off, swaying. What? The dragon fell. His breath came in labored gasps. What have you done to me? Well, I don't want to jinx anything. Ivan lowered his sword, but I think I just killed you. But how? Trade secret, I'm afraid. Ivan sheathed his sword. Can you tell me your name? I'd be a pity to face such a foe and not have a name to tell the tale of. Ignavax. Ignavax stared at his shake. Ivan skipped back several steps. My name is Ivan. Ivan bowed to the dragon. You were a worthy foe, Ignavax. You will be remembered. Farewell. Filthy human. The final effort, Ignavax managed to raise his head. Ivan turned to run, knowing that he could not escape the flames that were coming. But no flames came. Ignavax began to cough, blood leaking out of his mouth. He spasmed, tearing at the ground. Ivan kept running to avoid being crushed. The convulsions lasted for just over a minute. Then Ignavax fell silent, his final breath spent. By the Virtio, Varian breathed. They've done it! He raised his warbow and shouted, They've done it! The beast is slain! His warriors, hidden in the trees, shouted with joy. 200 elven voices rang through the forest, praising outsiders on their land for the first time in their history. Ilstrad joined them, tears in her eyes. Her people would live. The dragon was no more. If Ivan heard the cheers, he gave no sign. He walked back to Ignavax. He stopped a few feet away, watching for movement. He put a hand on the one of the beast's nostrils, waited. He gave him a kick, waited. Finally, he drew his sword and poked it into the dragon's mouth. Satisfied, he turned his back on his fallen foe. He raised the sword in the air and shouted, Victory! The impossibles have done it again! His men raised their weapons and cheered as well. Ilstrad sent a smug glance at Varian. So, General, do you still think we should have killed them? Varian grunted, which was as close to conceding the point as he was capable of coming. Together, they descended from their perch and walked out to meet their saviors. When they arrived at the clearing, they found Ivan still shouting orders. 3 men were gathering around the dragon's corpse, a half-dozen more roaming the clearing, putting out fires. The rest were sitting or laying in the grass, with a lone medico treating their wounds. Ivan walked up to the medico. Casualty report, Fred. How bad is it? Fred, the medico, glanced up from the salve that he was slathering on a man's leg. Lots of burns, Captain. Norris and Merrick got roasted pretty bad. Don't know if they'll make it. Ivan nodded. Fred continued. Everyone else will live. That was a good call, telling us to run if you made for the blister. Nobody got chomped. That was the idea, Fred. Ivan looked up and noticed Ilstrad approaching. He clapped Fred on the shoulder. Do what you can. I'm going to go meet with the client. Ivan sketched a courtly bow when Ilstrad reached him. Hi, lady. A second slightly shallower bow for Varian. General. He glanced at the ranks of armed elves behind them. I see your warriors are here to celebrate our victory as well. If they were here for anything else, Varian said coldly, you would not see them. Ivan eyed the general, unsure if he was joking. He bowed a little lower this time. As you say, General. Ilstrad stifled a smile. Captain Ivan. Ilstrad stepped forward. You and your men have done a great deed and a great service. It will not be forgotten. She drew a large purse from her belt. As promised, here is your payment. Ivan accepted the purse with another bow. Thank you, High Lady. Thank you, Ivan, she smiled. My people will sing songs of this day. Captain Ivan and the Impossible Mercenary Band will be known to the elves for as long as there are elves to know. Enough of that, Varian cut in. There is still the question you must answer, human. His eyes narrowed. And you had best answer well. Ivan gave the center of the clearing a guilty look. Most of the profanity carved into it had survived the battle. If it's about the fire and the, phrase. Not that, Varian snapped. You needed to draw the creature and insult him so he'd fight. I understand tactical necessity. I'm not a fool. Oh, good. Ivan composed himself. What's your question? How did you do it? The general demanded. How did you slay Ignavax? Well, General, I figured the hardest part would be getting through his scales. The ballista bolt can go through a tree trunk. I figured it could pierce his hide. Yes, but not deeply, Varian pointed out. True. Ivan scratched his beard. You need 9 hells of a lucky shot to get anything vital. You were not lucky. No, General. Then why is the dragon dead? Simple, Ivan shrugged. We poisoned the spears. End of story. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.